I think everybody was really surprised and taken back by how successful Sound of Freedom was at the box office. Domestically, it absolutely destroyed major movies like Indiana Jones and others that were out there, and now we see it absolutely destroying it at the overseas box office. And why is that? Well, because of the message behind this movie. Anybody with a brain and a soul in their body understands that child trafficking is a terrible thing and needs to have more awareness. And you would think that this movie would be supported by, say, I don't know, the U.S. military, but it seems like that's not the case. It says here at the Military Times, QAnon-embraced film pulled from screening on base at Southcom. Look at what this article is even under. Before I even dive into the article, it's under the extremists and disinformation section. So if you actually dive into this article and read it, when the author of the article is explaining the movie, it says here, quote, Sound of Freedom is based on the work of Timothy Ballard, who claims he worked for the CIA and the Department of Homeland Security before launching the controversial anti-child sex trafficking group, Operation Underground Railroad. The activist group staged and films quote-unquote stings to round up traffickers in developing countries at the invitation of foreign law enforcement, according to the group's site. It is a known fact that Timothy Ballard did work for the CIA and Department of Homeland Security. It's not that he claims it, it's factually true. Wording matters when it comes to these types of articles and how they write them. The author knows what she's doing here. The fact that she put stings in quotations, this happened. At the end of the movie, you can actually see real footage of the stings that took place where Timothy Ballard was present. These things were factually true, yet she's trying to label them as like, well, maybe they are not true. If you go to the author who wrote this, Allison Erickson, she's a U.S. Army vet, right? Hey, thank you for your service, all that jazz. But one thing I want to point out is this right here. It says, after transitioning back to civilian life, she earned a master's degree in creative publishing and critical journalism from the New School in New York. Well, if you go to that school's website, just read what it's saying. The university that reimagines the future. Interrogating justice and equity. What does that sound like to you? All of our work involves critical inquiry and creativity aimed at fostering a more fair and equitable world. So you could see clearly that she was indoctrinated at this school. This is obviously a very liberal school. Just based on this, you could tell basically who she votes for, without a shadow of a doubt. But getting back to the article real quick. So Southcom pulled these screenings, right? This was apparently not good for military personnel to see for some reason. But interestingly enough, Jack Poso, which I'm not the biggest fan of, I have my issues with them. Even though they banned the Sound of Freedom movie, they did welcome family drag shows on base.
But for some reason, they don't want to show a film in the U.S. military where pedophiles get killed. More than happy on base. You can do your sex change surgeries that are going to be completely paid for by the military. They'll give you money if you want to go to another state and have an abortion. The military is perfectly fine to do that if you want to kill babies. But if you want to show a film that's directly tied to the mission of Southcom, U.S. Southern Command, directly tied to the mission of the thing that people are supposed to be paying attention to, whoa. Suddenly, there's all sorts of issues. But you know what they did have there, down at that base? You know what they did have at that base? The U.S. military previously held a child-friendly drag show at the exact same base, Joint Base Langley Eustis, as part of their Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Summer Festival. So they will hold drag shows down there. Drag shows. You can have actual drag shows. Same base, same exact base, but you can't have a showing, right? You can't have a showing of Sound of Freedom.
Yeah, well, again, if anyone's been paying attention, probably not the most surprising thing in the world. It's very sad and disheartening. I got to get off this screen because Grimace here is making me very ill. But none of this is surprising. Unfortunately, this is where we're at in the world. As he said, this is the number one goal of Southcom, is to go after this type of stuff, and they won't show this film. But yet you can have all this other stuff on base. I don't know what to tell you, honestly. It's very insane that this is even a thing, but this is the world that we're living. Everything is clown world. It's positives to see the movie doing well overseas. I'm glad it's making as much money as it can. I'm glad that the message is still getting out there. But the fact that the U.S. government is labeling this movie as it is just insanity. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I always love to hear your thoughts about this stuff. If you like the video, please hit the like button. It helps the channel and the video very much. I would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, take care.